Hey everybody, it's Bust with Expedition Trial number 347. Getting pretty close to 350 up here. It's not that far away at all. But let's see what shows up. And so, all in all, a pretty reasonable set of champions. Everyone's been dealing with Irelia here recently. The Sivir is extremely strong, but the Sivir card pool is pretty poor. And then Frozen Solid Ash is okay. This is a card pool that I prefer to be a supporting card pool as opposed to a build around type, but you can make do with what you got to do. And so I don't really have any particular interest in these. I think they're all pretty even as far as card quality goes. So let's just pull them up on the site, see which one was the last one we drafted, and we'll take the oldest first, so we can keep you all fresh as far as these go. So it looks like let's see, trying to figure which ones we have like the actual Sivir build around. Looks like 303. The other ones, it was Irelia. He should have been fairly recent. 342, yeah, and then Ash. I think it's gonna be the Sivir here. But let's take one last peek. Ash came in at 331. So okay, we'll take the Sivir. Let me double check what those cards were real quick. I think it was a Profiteer and a Ancient Hourglass. Okay, so we can work with this. So we'll just switch our way back over here to the Expedition Help page. And if you aren't familiar, or I guess I should say if you are familiar with what we do here, I do intend on updating this. It's kind of in the sense that it's slow for me to update the 3-minute guides because if there's like 90 or 100 card pools, and if you spend 10 minutes on each of them, that's quite a bit of time. But I can kind of get through like one every couple days or so, and not have too much trouble with it. So kind of like my overarching idea here is I would like to make this more useful at a glance. And so kind of the idea that I kind of have is I want to tie it in with the tier list. So if you go over to the tier list, I want you to be able to click on Callista here, and it brings you up to a page that has all of our Callista strategies on it. And so that's kind of like tie-in number one. And then number two is I'm getting kind of tired of the strategy section of the site being tied to having Riot do something. And so I want to move away from this the system of keeping like all of the card pools up to date, and then kind of giving my thoughts on the individual card pools themselves, and then just have the individual card listing be a smaller portion of the strategy site. And so I plan on making it more champion centric, less focused on Riot, tied into the tier list. And so if there's anything that would help you out with these, the expedition helper as you go through, be sure to give me a comment and let me know. I'll take that feedback to heart. But over here with the Sivir, as I said, this pull kind of sucks. It pairs up with LeBlanc, who's actually very good. But on the Sivir half of this, you're trying to get the 5 attack matters theme through the rock bears, and so you're trying to use hibernating rock bear, sandswept tomb. There's just like these landmarks that are pretty horrible, as we've harped on through the entirety of Empires of the Ascended and now into Defenders of the Ancient. These landmarks are all garbage, and so. When it comes down to it, I don't want that to be a theme. I don't want those to be our 5 attack units. We're pretty happy to be using the likes of Profiteer, who I guess isn't on the list because it was in the new set, and then the likes of, there's one other good one. It's the 4-cost one that has the reputation ability, the Callous Bone Crusher. And so these are like okay-ish. It's just pretty much in this card pool here, there's just a lot of filler, a lot of garbage, and Sivir is kind of the highlight. And so if we do look to go and build around Sivir, I do try to find ways to pack in some vulnerables, like the quick attack challenges between Sivir and LeBlanc are extremely strong. And so that's kind of theme number one. And then we're always happy to pick up things like Siphoning Strike. And so the build around potential isn't really here in the Shurima pool, but there is some like super high quality cards between, Sivir and Siphoning Strike. And that's the way I like to pursue this and not go after the landmarks. But, we'll see what shows up. It all depends on what shows up as far as what we do. And this is not a very good set of champions. This is all in all pretty weak. And so I think we are probably going to have to build towards Sivir. I'm leaning towards this Vladimir here. The problem with Elise down here on the right is that If we're looking to either build towards spiders, we want to be in Noxus, so we have to have a particularly juicy Noxus pack turn up, or we have to just take a bad Noxus pack to jump into the faction. And there's just not going to be any combos with Sivir. The other thing we like to do with Elise is build towards fearsomes, and that's also not something Sivir can do. If we had like Nasus, we could consider it, but that's quite a bit of effort to say I want to take Sivir and then have Elise work out as a fearsomes deck. And so we're going to skip over that one. Karma, also not too interested in. We could technically get the 5 attack out of a Scaled Snapper, but this card pool is just completely full of garbage. If this was Total Recall Karma, then I could see an interest in it, but the Enlightened pool is arguably the worst in the game. I don't know if it's worse than Spellslinger's Fizz, but they are all pretty terrible. So that is going to put us over here with Vladimir. This is going to be a touch of an awkward pairing if we're actually going to build towards this Vladimir. He does this self-damage thing to all of your allies, and then in Shurima there's a ton of 1 health units, and so with our Bloodthirsty Marauders and Ruin Runners, they're not super happy to be playing with Vladimir. Yes, I know you can attack to the left of Vladimir so they don't take the damage, but then you aren't really getting the full effect out of all of your cards. But as far as this goes, Vladimir does have 5 attack. Crimson Aristocrat could push something up to 5 attack. It's putting us into Noxus, which is a faction we want to be in, and I think we can probably make this work. And so let's take a quick peek at the Vladimir pool as well. What we tend to see out of these Vladimir and out of the Swain card pools is they have really good 2-drops, and so we're going to see the likes of the Demolitionist. Oh man, all of the good ones aren't here. It's just the Demolitionist and the Disciple here. I was looking for the 3/2 with the Last Breath, and then I feel like there's one more, but we can make this work. There's the Aristocrat as well. And so it tends to have pretty good 2-drops. It has Transfusion, which is a pretty fantastic combat trick, and then it has a touch of the 5 attack matters theme in the Trifarian Assessor. And so I was really hoping there would be more of the Trifarian style cards in here, but this is in general a pretty weak card pool. And so I still think we can make this work. Jumping into Noxus is good. Jumping into Noxus should also give us Reputation Noxus packs, so we don't just have a bunch of Rock Bears showing up the whole time. And we can get a pretty decent early game coming out of this Vladimir. So, I think we can make this work. I've done better with worse, and so let's see how this goes. Okay, so an interesting set. I'm kind of interested in the Inspired Marshal down here just because it has the exhaust in the pack. I still think we can get a decent amount of work out of these quick attack challenges if we're going to be building towards Sivir, or if we pick up a Legion Drummer along the way, or if we pick up some Reforges along the way. Getting some quick attack challenges is pretty strong. And then the Inspired Marshal, though, she is a little bit weaker now. I'm trying to think if we have any real combos that we can pull off with this. We probably ought to just let this go and hope for the likes of Armored Elephants showing up, or Savage Reckoners showing up to be the extent of our top end. And so the problem, though, I don't really want to be playing a bunch of Ancient Hourglasses. These tend to be pretty weak. I don't think this does, just summons the exact copies. I was like, I don't think the units come back with full health, and so it's not like we can blink out a Profiteer at 1 health and have it come back and do some more self-damages to it. So that's pretty weak in general. And so I'm just going to take the exhaust for the interactive element, even though I'm not really excited about the Inspired Marshal. Okay, so let's apparently just completely stay away from the themes here. I'm cool to pick up the Rockhopper. Rite of Calling isn't going to be particularly good here, but the Shield Breaker is ultimately a pretty horrible unit. I mean, I guess I could get behind a Boomerang Blade Hibernating Rock Bear just because the Hibernating one is so cheap. I just tend to really want to stay away from these Rock Bears. This theme is so incredibly bad. We are picking up a removal spell, which is always pretty nice. Okay, I'm gonna do it. I just really hate these shield bears, and then we don't have anything really sacrificable for the right. Alright, fine. I'm gonna regret it, I already know. But here's the kind of pack we're looking for. A Rockhopper with an exhaust that's a pretty easy and strong take. Okay, oh boy, we could take an Emperor's Diaz. No, this is fine. We get a pretty strong combat trick along with a House Spider. House Spider is a pretty premier 2-drop, so that will work out for me. Okay, we can continue up this strength. I do believe I like Exhaust better than Nox and Fervor. Precious Pet is much better than Bloodthirsty Marauder. but I think I prefer the interactivity out of the exhaust a little bit more. Okay. Okay, so we do have these sweet combos to where we can say play a Crimson Bloodletter, follow it up with a Rock Hopper, and just kill off our own unit. But I think these are probably the strongest choices that we're gonna get. The Crimson Aristocrats I'm reasonably okay with. It's a nice little unit boost. There is the Siphoning Strike down here, but the Chimera is complete garbage. It's kind of the same problem with the Hopeful. The Apprehend is pretty bad, and so we'll just take the two cheap units down here. And hopefully we'll find at least some combos to go along with them. Okay, and then this is more of a tough one. We do have the Salt Spire that I never want, but the Strength in Numbers is kind of a premier top end in this style of deck. And down here we just have the more on curve units, more of these dudes that really love playing with our our 1 health bros. But I think I don't like the landmarks again, but the Strength in Numbers is just too good to pass up. And this is a little bit better as far as the top end goes. A Tusk Raider is fantastic, and then a nice kind of catch-all removal spell. Okay, and then back to the dregs. Back to the garbage cards. I think we're just stuck with the Salt Spire Boomerang Blade. Just picking up the removal spell. Like, Blood for Blood is arguably worse than Salt Spire, which says quite a bit. I don't think we need the Mites. It's like this used to play reasonably well when your cards were like, Vladimir, and then the 5/5 that spreads the damage across your team, and none of your units really had overwhelm. But at the state of the game now, we can kind of get around that, and so I don't think we really need Might when it's paired up with something this bad. I'm just going to take the Boomerang Blade as picking up more removal. Oh, Kato and a Marauder. That's going to be an easy take. Jeez, love me a Kato. All right, things are looking decent. Here. We got a pretty strong set of 2-drops, so go ahead and pick those up. Then last but not least, I'm going to skip over the Marauder. These 1 health early drops are going to be pretty tough for us to actually handle, so I'm not interested in picking up more Bloodthirsty Marauders. The Saboteur is, a strong unit, but we don't have a lot of combos with this other than it just being like an aggressive early game play. It has the 1 health, which is kind of painful. I think we're just going to let it go and pick up the Aristocrat and the Transfusion. Okay, and then last but not least, I think I do want to pick up the Curator. We have quite a few ways to take advantage of this this engine, the self-damage engine. As far as our curve goes, everything is in the 2-drop slot, and so it is nice to pick up something a little bit more expensive. And then we just have a ton of ways to activate this between the Bloodletters and the Aristocrats, the Demolitionists, the Transfusions. A lot of easy ways to take advantage of a Curator. So happy enough to come and pick him up as well. Okay, all right. So let's see here. We got to go and turn something premium. So let's see if there's any common units left. Not too confident that there is, but we haven't drafted a lot of these. Yeah, I was going to say these Aristocrats and Bloodletters, we don't draft these too frequently. And so let's go with the Aristocrat. We got 3 copies of this. She's likely to be making an appearance here, and so pretty happy to get her premium and ready for battle. That's all right, yeah, let's jump in. I was kind of interested to see if Freylord would show up in this. Braum pairs up with the Vladimir and the Battle Scars, and there's also the Yetis theme out of Freylord. And so it's kind of an interesting thing if you're able to kind of piece the 3 factions together to where you're getting Yetis out of Freylord, you're getting the self-damage stuff out of Noxus, and then you're getting the 5-attack matters out of Noxus and the Yetis, so you have this kind of like cyclical set of synergies. It just we didn't see a Freylord, so we didn't get the chance to do it. It's a little tough to pull off, anyways. You don't the Battle Scars Freylord doesn't have the Yetis package in it, so that's more of the blood on the ice kind of thing. But hey, let's see what we can do here against Ash Azir. Right, I think Vladimir's probably strong enough to or not strong enough to hang on to, so I'm okay to get rid of him. I'm not excited about Crimson Aristocrats either. These need another unit to be useful, and so I'm okay to go ahead and get rid of it. And then these Marauders are so strong, I'm willing to hang on to a Ancient Hourglass to try to just ensure that it stays alive. I would say that this will probably be one of these things where we just fully bank to the 3rd turn, and then try to get a good exhaust challenge with Legion Marauder. Okay.
What do we got here?
It says, oh noes. Alright, we can still deal with this.
Crows will have what's left. Plenty for all of us.
Cool. Get to doing that work, my man. Get this Sivir down as well. It's looking a reasonably strong board.
My name will echo through the ages.
Do we have to care about this? Not a whole lot. Let's go ahead and just add the Salt Spire. There's probably not a world where he never attacks, but I could see him just not attacking here, and then we should be pretty safe to get Sivir down next turn. Okay.
Stand down.
Have to take kind of the long way to get here just to ensure that we have the Salt Spired unit for our next turn.
Come on, boys.
Is a combat trick, or are we just going to give up on the old Legion Marauder? Doesn't seem like he does. Okay. This seems good. We seem really strong here now. We can Boomerang Blade down this Azir if we want. He's kind of unfortunate in the sense that he always has 1 health and is typically the weakest unit on your board. So we'll see if we want to do that. And oh boy, picking up a strength in numbers. This Boomerang Blade is just way too good. We have the 9 mana, so if he tries to get too tricky, we can still Brothers Bond through this.
Heads up.
Nice. Okay, so not too scary anymore. I do want to keep some of this mana banked. I just surrenders. I was like, we're not going to have the mana to strengthen numbers next turn, and so I wanted to be able to do that, but it's too much thunder. Okay, and then as far as these champions go, I'm willing to kind of branch out and take other things. It really just depends on what shows up. I'm kind of like 50% wanting Sivir to keep the same champion in our deck so we get the value out of the flips. I'm kind of like 25% at Vladimir, and then the remaining 25% maybe something better will show up. But I don't think this LeBlanc is particularly better enough than the Sivir that we want to take her. We already have 2 Boomerang Blades, and so we don't really want to stack up on these. The Assessor is good and fine, but what I tend to find with a lot of these Noxus decks is, as far as like top end goes, we tend to just not want to be drawing cards. We would rather this just be like an Armored Tusk Raider that ends the game. And so we don't do so well with like saying like, all right, well, I'm going to play this Assessor and draw 2 and then replay some like just cheap dudes. She's fine. It's a card I'm typically like okay-ish to have 1 copy of, which sounds kind of like blasphemous as far as as far as card draw in limited formats goes. But I'm just never like super impressed with her unless we're playing Freylord and have access to the cheap Yetis. It's just really hard to find a place to drop a understated 5-cost unit, typically at that stage of the game. And so, not super excited about picking this up. And then here we're getting the Trifarian Profiteer. I haven't talked about the Profiteer, but she can also do these things to where you generate paydays, or I guess lucky finds, whatever these are called, and then putting the Overwhelm onto Sivir to spread out across all of your units when she's flipped. And so it's much better to have Profiteers than to have Payday, which is the spell that generates Lucky Find, or the Landmark that generates 2 of them. But she fits into our curve nicely. She has 5 attack. We're really stacked up in the 2-drop slot, so that was a pretty nice pickup of cards with Sivir. Yeah, I do like this Sivir. She plays a lot like Darius, to where you know, you're never like, oh man, I want to have like 3 copies of this in my deck. But if things play out to where you haven't got enough top end, you always have that that kind of safety net to where you can just pick up a late game card out of your champion packs. But Sivir is nice in the sense that she also is just cheaper. So Darius costing 6 is much different than Sivir costing 4. So she fits in that spot a little bit better. But here we do have again the sweet combo of Bloodthirsty Marauder and Imperial Demolitionist, where we can just kill off our own unit if we want. I think though against what seems to be a pretty similar deck, I'm good to just hang on to the Demolitionist and probably play it on the second turn. So if we play the Marauder and trade it into something, that's kind of fine. But interesting, we got some real hits here though. So I'm kind of thinking now I want to open with this Marauder, just add the Bloodletter, and then we can start adding Crimson Curators to the board for value. I think this will be pretty nice. Oh, he's just going to be coming out from turn 3 forward. That's not a LeBlanc. Okay. Can piece together a pretty big turn here. Like if we want to go ahead and pick up the second... Oh man, just more dogs? Okay. Our only way to heal the Curator is Transfusion, so I'm happy enough to just start trading this away. I would assume he's gonna guile something here, maybe like our 4/1. But I'm good to just go ahead and attack into this board. He'll probably get a value block out of his Callous Bone Crusher, but that's pretty okay. Scorched Earth, sure thing. I'm kind of curious if we need to just try and switch over to like an Inspired Martial type play. It's pretty far away from us to be able to take advantage of this though. And here's my ultimate problem as far as these Salt Spires go. It's going to take us forever to get this thing online. Take this first hit, it's not a big deal. Okay, and then as long as we have a lot of 2 attack units, this is going to be fine. So let's start with the Bloodletter. And follow up with the Imperial Demolitionist. Then that still leaves us with a handful of units to play on our attack 2 turns from now. Oh fuck. Well, you can't just play around Reckoning, so that kinda is what it is.
Sun's beneath me and winds behind me. Watch me.
Right, whatever, dude. We want to just go ahead and add the Marauder? Probably not. We should have enough mana on our following turn to take advantage of this.
Our proudest days remain ahead. Finally.
Shiraza? Okay. Sure. Looking to take 9. It's not that bad. Oh, and then he just doesn't attack with Shiraza. Sure.
I whisper truth into lies.
Okay, that Reckoning was brutal. But Sivir's making an appearance. Changes a lot. Let's not advertise that we have her right away.
Darling, you are dressed to kill.
It's not that bad.
Really so obvious?
You look like you've got some deep pockets.
Deep pockets and a long reach, girl.
Oh, who's going for the value plays, huh? Okay, so we need to do like this. Then we need another attack to happen. This will be 11. Right, because the Sivir will only... How much is 7? It's only going to go up to 34. Or 11 would take us to 32. So then let's attack with you and then attack with you. So we at least get the quick attack onto our Legion Marauder. Okay.
Come on, boys.
I know a challenge when I see one.
Seems positive for us.
I go where the trouble is. It's never too far.
All right, if we can hold out for one more turn, we may be okay here. It's kind of scary that he has Guile in a giant hand, but maybe we got just enough to get through this one. Oh, we got the Profiteer combo with Sivir as well. Ugh.
My axe is ready.
So we have to like Profiteer, then we can't even Lucky Find. Okay, we're just dead unless he's gonna give us an opportunity. Can't imagine we ever win this game. Tough, okay. We can beat tough. But we can't beat it. We gotta get lucky. We gotta hit like the +2 health onto Sivir. Quick attack, don't care. Alright. Alright, well that kinda is what it is. I felt like we were at the advantage the entire way through that game, and our opponent had the epic that just wrecks us. And so you can't just sit around and play around epics, and so kinda is what it is. So we'll move forward. As far as these go, I'm not a huge fan of Brothers Bond in this style of deck. We are, pretty decent at getting wide, but I think we were only able to get wide so easily that game because we started out with the Curator, and so like we hit the Curator, then we hit 2 Bloodletters off of the ability, and so I think I'm okay to pick up Weight of Judgment here. Don't want Saltspire. I don't want. I'm okay with Bakai, but not at the cost of Exhaust. So I think that's fine. It's a little bit short there. Let's take Victor, Zed, and Zoe. Okay. So let's hang on to our 1-drop. Again, it's probably safe enough to keep the 2. Not really excited about it, but the Bloodletter, I think it's okay. Alright, well we're going to have to advance on this board a little bit. We can't let the Zoe just go unchecked. He has a way to get around this exhaust. It kind of sucks, but do we just want to ignore? Probably just have to ignore Zoe. At least for the moment. It's like it's too easy for him to have a Targon shield or a so want to hit and trade. Too easy to have like a Targon shield or a Mystic Shot or something that if we exhaust and he has a Targon shield, it's just the end of the game. This is okay. Okay. I think we want to add a Curator and not the Rock Hopper. We make a 4-mana play next turn, and we can open with the Rock Hopper. We have some options with him. Sure. Okay. Anything change with him? Like, we're still lined up to be able to exhaust if we want to switch to using the Trifarian. Kind of like it.
I don't carry chains.
Ideally, we're gonna Crimson Curator into his Zoe. Again, if he has a... okay, this should probably be safe. If he has a... like a Targon Shield or something, I want to be able to still take her down in combat. These other trades are fine. You might make it. I mean, he played the star tip peak before combat, so it seems like he probably just doesn't have anything else. Sivir makes an appearance. All right, we might be able to do this. Let's go ahead. This is gonna come in and hook. I think I want to go ahead and just make sure that we get the extra card out of this. This Victor attack's not like super scary at the moment. What'd you get? Challenger? Ugh. We could hourglass something if we want. I don't think this board is anything we want to be hourglassing though. Keeps Victor behind. Okay. Deal. Maybe he'll silence our Trifarian so that he can block. It'd be good use of those celestial cards. Okay, exhaust. We can flip our Sivir on this attack as well. We've just got to decide at what point we want to do it. The Trifarian and Sivir is 10, so we would need to either do like Sivir, Trifarian, Aristocrat, or Sivir, Aristocrat, Aristocrat, Aristocrat to give the Trifarian the bonus. Okay, this is fine.
It's a living.
I'm out of their league.
We've done this the other way. Probably should have put Sivir at the end. I don't think it ever matters. But she can technically like quick attack and hit, and then if he doesn't survive, or if he survives, he can hit her back. So we probably should have put her at the end just in case. Say, I don't know, he plays a... say he played a way to give Victor +2/+2. Or +1/+2 or something. I don't know. There's reason enough for us to want Sivir at the other side of this so that she gets her quick attack hit and she gets her flip and then could potentially survive 3 damage back.
Time is money.
Alright, there we go. Dealt with 2 of his champions. He's got a big bunch of Celestials, but they're the cheap Celestials, so hopefully we can deal with this the rest of the way. I think we want to keep this mana banked up just in case we want to Ancient Hourglass. Or if we draw like a... oh, the Profiteer makes the appearance beautiful. Just if we hit a... go ahead and play this so we can just open next turn. Kind of like it.
Prices? Just the right price.
No, I think we're good here. It's looking reasonable. Behold the Infinite. He's down to 3 mana. So we're definitely going to be happy with this open next turn. What you were hoping to hit. So give everything tough? Is it worthwhile? I guess against this board it could be worthwhile. We're just gonna give everything quick attack though. Alright, let's just be defensive with her. Uh-oh. Surprise unit. Okay. We can Ancient Hourglass the unit this thing blocks if we need to. I don't think we were lethal there, but good deal.
They got what they paid for.
Like if he would have put the fangs in front of a 2/2, it would have prevented 2 and gained 4. Probably weren't gonna die. Just kind of figured he couldn't beat the Sivir. Okay, what are we doing here? Always happy to pick up more Rockhoppers, and these Demolitionists are, again, they're kind of weak given that we have so many 1 health units, so that's okay. How does our top end look? We've got 1 Strength in Numbers, 1 Tusk Raider, Kato, and 3 Sivirs. Well, 2 Sivirs now, coming up to 3 Sivirs. I think I want to hang on to our 1 drop and the Blood Ladder. I would be okay with Bloody Business, but I think we're kind of okay in these style of striking removal spells. We have the 2 Boomerang Blades, a Weight of Judgment, 1 Scorched Earth, 2 Transfusions as combat tricks. I think that's fine. I think the thing I'm looking to do here is I'd like to hang on to these kind of crimson-y cards. I guess I'm fine to pick up Rockhopper though, but the kind of crimson theme I want to hang on to. Maybe we could pick up another Crimson Curator. And then otherwise, I would really just like to get rid of these Salt Spires, get rid of this Inspired Marshal, and then like Curators, things that generate Marauders, and then the early game, the early game Crimson theme is what we'd like to have. I think that's okay. Yeah, the Imperial Demolitionist doesn't quite have the same punch that it used to. It used to be, super strong in terms of just closing out the game. You'd be really aggressive, and then your opponent would get a better board than you. Then you could just close out the game with Imperial Demolitionists and face damage that doesn't come from combat. A little bit harder to do since those took a nerf, I don't know, 7 months ago. We're complaining about the aggros. Too much aggro, gotta complain. Because I love to just sit down on the toilet and play a marathon 40-minute game. But here, we need some units, so I'm just going to full mulligan everything. I don't really want to see a hand to where we've got, like exhaust transfusion and the no early game plays. So I think it's a little dangerous to hang on to one of those exhausts.
Their bones will litter the desert.
This Lisa and Shyvana. Okay, I want to go ahead and open. We can play the Rockhopper, but it's just going to kind of like open it up to be a trade. And so I'd prefer to have a unit that can survive a combat as opposed to just making a trade here at the beginning. See how this goes. I kind of want to be able to transfusion next turn. So if we want to be able to transfusion, we can't play this other Rockhopper. As expected.
You're under our protection.
We'll have to take this hit, but we can still kill this thing with a Profiteer and an Exhaust next turn. I don't want to exhaust it, but we'll see what happens with the Lucky Find.
If it looks valuable, it probably is, eh?
Could also transfusion the other direction. That's not a winning combat though, which is kind of unfortunate.
I won't stand by.
But we can burst a lot of this stuff. So let's see what we can do here. Quick attack. Oh, buddy. All about that. Can't survive this combat if we want to do this though. Do we want to just get 2 for 1? Probably not.
Look at that quality!
Stand firm.
It's not cool, bruh. We're not losing this unit. So let's give up the the little one. I want to hang on to this 5-attack quick attacker when we've still got additional means to give his units vulnerable. And we aren't that far behind. He's got 5 cards to our 4. Oh, that's a permanent one? Oh, boo. I was thinking it was Hush. But we can still make some magic happen here.
It's not a fake.
Drop the big boy Lee Sin on us here eventually. Probably, I would assume that's what he gave the +3/+3 to, was be a copy of Lee Sin. Plus the dragon. Have great answer to this. We can double exhaust it to put a bunch of damage on it. We'll just pass here. He opens, we probably have to give up a unit, but let's see. I'd love to see him not open and us just get to throw a rock hopper in front of this thing.
Would you look at this place?
You live.
'Kay.
Probably.
We still have a lot of interaction. We should get a good strength in numbers here. Hopefully just throw enough blockers in front of this thing for the next few days and be doing pretty okay in that sense. Oh. Makes me really wish we didn't play this Crimson Aristocrat. I just assumed that we wouldn't be able to add anything else and our turn would just be like strength in numbers exhaust, like we got to spend the most mana this way. But yeah, not being able to add this Marauder kind of sucks.
I see a little backup has arrived.
You need new jokes, Leon.
But we can do something like this.
Gonna catch the sky.
Right? Probably gotta do it like this, put the additional damage onto this thing. Lose a Marauder to his scales, but we have one in the back.
Don't test me.
It's okay. He's probably got a barrier or a trick here. Being a Lee Sin deck and he hasn't played any tricks, but ew, Whimsy's pretty painful. I was really counting on getting some of this big chunk damage in.
My board.
Alright, this one's probably done.
Extend your senses. I will make you proud, Master.
Okay. Alrighty, well, on to the next one. Let's get a good trade here. Oh, come on, game. Figure it out. There we go. So, not a real exciting set of trades. I'm okay to get rid of this Bloodthirsty Marauder. This is a pretty weak unit in our deck. We can technically get these Bone Crushers down for 2. Hang on to Transfusion, hang on to Scorched Earth. Okay. What you got for us, game? Okay, some kind of scout action with the Shurima in it. Okay. only playing one Misfortune. Not a bad start. Profiteer, right? We can make some kind of magic happen with this curve. And I do believe we want to start with the Rock Hoppers here. Well, you know, maybe we just House Spider. We're never going to get to like pop his Misfortune with a Rock Hopper. Let's be real, that's not going to happen. But I think we might get a reasonable attack out of House Spiders here. And the thing we kind of want to set up is getting this Rock Hopper into like a Trifarian hook.
Would you look at this place?
Kinda okay with just dropping this one. You're welcome to do whatever challenging onto this guy you want. he's not here to block, but if you want to put the blocks on him, then by all means. How do we set this up? Vladimir's nowhere ready to be useful. But I think we could get a Profiteer. Then on opponent's turn, like play Rock Hopper and try to bank a bunch of mana. And then on our next turn, play a Strength in Numbers. Oh, buddy. Buddy, are we going to hit Challenger? If we're in this world, well, okay, let's... I was going to say, what if we just put the Challenger on Reckless Trifarian? But this is fine. That seems a lot worse if we don't actually hit it. Okay. Seems pretty positive for us.
My treasure.
As I live, all will die.
Still in the same camp. Let's do this. Let's Rock Bear. He can do whatever with Renekton here. Probably just don't block it. You can add Rock Hopper and then have the Strength in Numbers next turn. I think we're okay with this. Yeah, I guess taking the Hourglass doesn't do anything. We would have to do it here. This would be the spot where we could try to pull a unit back from being in front of Renekton, which doesn't seem that bad. Let's be real. So let's get Vladimir down. Then we'll just plan on attacking and hourglassing away from the Renekton. Maybe he wants to play a combat trick or something here. That would be acceptable as far as putting Renekton in front of our units. This is fine as long as his Renekton isn't leveling up this turn. Then it feels pretty good. I don't want him getting that +3/+3 on his attack, and so if he wants to, I was kind of hoping he was going to try to Nasus strike us, but okay. Appears as though that is lethal. It's, we got to get a block in. We'll hourglass our Vladimir out of this just to keep our unit around. Out of 5 does give him the opportunity to play more cards, but we care about that. long as we aren't dying, we don't care about any of this stuff. Let's be real. That turned out just fine. This is a lethal, right? We're gonna have the 2 5/4s from strength in numbers, the rock bear, and then we have a big open attack against his no blockers.
I'm still good to scrap.
Okay, I think we want to play cards here.
The desert's prices, just the right price.
That out of here. All right, that should do it. All right, so I'm really wanting to just take the Sivir pack here as long as it's not too bad. And this is fine. It's the same LeBlanc with the Assessor Boomerang Blade we don't want. Not real excited about any of these Vladimirs. I'm not excited about Ancient Hourglass either, but Sivir plus Tusk Raider is a pretty good solidifier for our top end. Let's see if we can't take this one the distance. Like with this pairing, I kind of felt like this would be like a 3 to 5 winner. I'd like to take it to 7, but it's not. It's not like one of these things where you get the like Sivir LeBlanc or Sivir Draven, and you have this like really good quick attack challenger package in the early game, and so this Vladimir is ultimately fairly awkward and doesn't have a lot of combos with our Sivir, but you know, we're strong enough to make a dent in our opponents here. May not be making any of that dent until turn 3, though. Kindred Maokai Tryndamere. Okay. Nothing to do.
I found my family, my bloodkin.
Alright, I guess attempted to play an exhaust on something here. I was hoping he would play like a Fading Icon or something, some 3 attack unit that we could take down and still draw a unit off of, but it's okay. And there's no reason to be really aggressive against his sacrifice outlets when he has the Undying on the board. Just going all in on the Undyings.
Rust on a dull blade.
Fine, fine.
Pretty awkward. Boomerang Blade goes up 10, only takes us to 16. Pretty far away from flipping the Sivir. We just got to add dudes to the board. This is pretty dangerous against a Shadow Isles deck with all this 1 healthery that we have going on here, but I just don't think we have a whole lot of choice in the matter as far as what we're doing. We just have to play our units where we have them and try to get something going. So let's do one of these. It feels so bad to just play both of these.
It's a living.
Okay. Probably as good as it's going to get. This is pretty abysmal here. Okay. real answer to these undyings. What you got for us, Brodio? Bringing it. Okay. I don't think there's any real reason to interact with these things. Nothing we can really do here otherwise. This pass back to us is brutal, but are we just gonna Ricochet? Ricochet's pretty horrible here. Where are we at? 7, 10. Like maybe we should have like just flipping Sivir's not gonna do anything though. He's unable to block. What's our reputation at? 0? Makes sense. All right, let's see what this does. I think we're just pretty much done after this, but worth a shot. Am I right? Oh, check it. We want to exhaust this Doom Beast. I have particularly great attacks into it, but it's a 7. Need to do 20 damage. 10. All right, she's not flipping this turn.
Business as usual. It's not me. It's you.
Want to just no? We got to keep these blockers back. We have to start blocking his dum-dums here next turn. Oh no, I didn't mean to do it like this. Oh crap. I meant to hook the Doom Beast onto the House Spider so that he'd probably have to block our Sivir with something else. But... Okay. I don't know if that was a blessing or a curse, seeing those go to my units instead of face when I'm at 3. But... All right.
Here's your cut. Oh, please.
Alright, so we gotta do something like this. Keep our Sivir up. Okay. Boom. He boomed us. That was just all around too awkward. He had a pretty strong draw there, and we couldn't... When you can't aggro into a board of unblockables, then you've certainly got a problem. But moving forward, none of these trades are good. Why don't you let me trade away the cards we don't want, game? I want to get rid of these Ancient Hourglasses, these Hibernating Rock Bears, the other Rock Bear, whatever this is called, Saltspire. I would be okay to get rid of Weight of Judgment. Inspired Marshal can go. One Boomerang Blade can go. It's like, hey, do you want to trade away your good cards every time? You could trade away your good card for something mediocre to bad. And so we're just going to let all these go. These aren't bad cards in Calling Like Siphoning Strike. They're just not what we need to fix what's wrong with our deck. That's kind of been the story of this trial, is getting rid of the things we want to get rid of just hasn't been a possibility. Gosh darn it. I'm gonna keep trying. We'll see if we can't get there. The lawn mowing squad might be coming out today. Trying to check the volume levels. I don't know what's happened to the volume. Like, gotta get rid of Kato, is too expensive, but we can keep Sivir when we're on the even attacks. I know that like OBS updated one day and it messed with some of my settings, and then I know here recently What's it called? Oh, that's starting to come through. I'm just gonna mute it while they're out here. All right, they might be done. Though, let's be real, they're probably gonna swing back by. But yeah, this draw is everything that's wrong with the Rock Bears and why I do not like them whatsoever. It's just you know, it's like, okay, we need to get something on the board, just actual anything, and then the thing that we can get on the board doesn't do anything for 3 turns. Like, these cards are just so abysmally horrible. So what are we gonna do here? Are we just gonna add another Salt Spire or our other guy that can't block? This is brutal. Wonder if we should have exhausted before combat. So they're gonna take 8 here. Oh, good. He doesn't hit with the peddler. He could perhaps draw a card here. I don't think he can burst draw a card though, so I think this might prevent more damage in the future. I have been informed that Profiteer cannot hit lifesteal. I appreciate the comments when people bring them up. I don't. There's too much to know about everything, so I can't know everything there is to know about the game.
Full of heavy purses and empty heads.
Have a mushroom. Have 3.
Okay, so let's hit our Rock Bear. We're looking for Challenger here. We found. Also want to exhaust one of these. That's as good as we can hope for here. Sure. All right, well, we got him worn down. We're just going to have to do some serious high rolling to dodge all these puff caps. At least he didn't get the flipped Teemo hit in. We're probably only at like 20 puff caps, 25. We're only at like a damage a turn. So, may be able to inch this one out. All right, no AoEs, please.
That's a bunch.
Oh, please.
Okay. We do get a quick attack challenge out of our Rock Bear this turn. No! God damn it. Oh, we just had to have stuff go right. Damn it.
The desert's prices?
This is ultimately super scary when he's popping the Sivir shield as well when we have this one attack Trifarian over here. Like something's about to go down onto her. So let's deal 1 to you, give you the bonus. Oh, really? For a game to go like this is ridiculous. We're pretty done for here. We just his deck did what it was supposed to do, and ours did not. Oh wow! And he discarded a Teemo out of that. Oh Jesus. Okay. I'm gonna put it on this one and see if we just can't hit a quick attack. Did not, so the challenger would do essentially the same thing. Challenge down the peddler. That's about about right considering how this has gone. Okay, gonna be done here, and so that game kind of is what it is. It's a mixture of like ways I don't like to draft, getting combined with some low rolling. It's just ultimately the huge problem with these rock bears and why it's such a um, abysmal concept is that it just doesn't do anything for so long. Like I get where it's kind of like okay if you have the hibernating rock bear on turn 2 and you're able to get the unit out of it on turn 5, or if you know the game's going kind of slow and you get to play it on turn say like 4, and then with along with another 2-drop, and then you get a reasonable unit onto like turn 7. But it's just when we have games like that to where you just need something. Like we don't care what unit actually can come down on the board. We just have to put any unit on the board, and it's like, oh, well, we have this dipshit that doesn't actually do anything for 3 turns, or if we wait until turn 4, we can play this other dipshit that doesn't do anything for 2 more turns. And so it's ultimately like I don't know. I like to keep my level of salt down. And so I won't say like, wow, did you all play with this and think it was fun? But it's like my ultimate problem with these is you have to have like so much for them to go right, and it's not completely like one of these cards. I can't think of the cards that exist like this in Magic, to where it's completely unplayable until it's abysmally not fun for everyone. And so cards like Whirl of Invention probably fit in that realm. Cards like the Storm mechanic, where it's kind of like okay and limited, but in constructed, it's either just going to be like never played, or it's going to be what Storm is and just be um, this really abysmal mechanic for what is probably 15 years now. And so when it comes to this rock bear theme, what you're ultimately going to see is you can get them down too fast, and to which it's just not fun because you're playing some kind of like super high rolly combo to where you're just getting down a bunch of 5/4s on the second turn of the game, or they are in the state that they are right now, as to where they are just horrible. And then they're shoved into the Sivir deck. This is why I'm trying to like circle around to the rock bear thing, is because all these rock bears are shoved into Sivir. Like this is the intent and game plan of the Sivir deck. Is you have the reputation theme. You get reputation by getting attacks with 5 attack units. How do you get 5 attack units in Sherma? You use the rock bears. And so that's ultimately why I have to like circle back to this and spend so much time discussing these cards that I don't like, is because that is the heart and soul of what this Sivir deck is meant to do. And so we've got kind of our bitch sesh of these out of the way. And ultimately, I don't like them in the sense that typically in these drafts, you can just like avoid cards like this. I look at it very much in the same sense as like a pesky specter. It's like if you do put these pesky specters into your deck, then you're kind of like asking for it, and they're like super polarized in their quality, and you really need to be picking up like a vengeance quality card, or something like a Neverglade Collector or a Blighted Caretaker when you're picking those up. And I think that was ultimately my problem with this draft, is if we come back and look at like the hibernating rock bears that we took, I don't remember what was remaining in this pack, but Boomerang Blade is not strong enough to be taking with Hibernating Rock Bear. And then if we go with the other ones, Strength in Numbers is strong enough to take with Salt Spire. I will give that one the the A-OK, but then we probably should have just avoided these Boomerang Blades. Again, I don't remember what was in these packs, but I would be a lot happier with this deck if we didn't have any of these Rock Bear generators, and then the same with Ancient Hourglass. This is not quite worth a card, and so but we at least talked about it, at least throughout the course of the draft, when we're taking a moment to say what we want to trade away. We mentioned all of these things. We don't want the hourglasses. We don't want any of the landmark cards. We don't want the likes of Inspired Marshal. We would ideally just be able to trade these out for, better removal spells, just actual anything, right? any unit that has 2 in the casting cost is what we would like to trade these out for, and we just weren't quite able to do that. And so, before we let you go, I guess like the kind of 2 things to talk about before it ends is there's the Battle Scars theme. Again, I don't think this is very good. You used to be able to build around the Curator, and we actually had some amount of success with the Curator here today, but this isn't a really strong build around strategy anymore. This was extremely strong at the release of the game. Now that more cards have come out and the power has crept up a little bit, this Crimson Curator engine just isn't good enough anymore. And so I do not recommend that you build these decks to where you try to pick up 3 or 4 Crimson Curators and then have all of these activators like the Aristocrats to get some value out of this. And then your kind of like secondary plan is having do we even have them in here? The 2/3 for 2 that can take some damage and deal damage to your opponent. Like that whole theme was all nerfed. The Curator theme is not strong enough anymore. Like I do not like pursuing this. And then kind of thing number 2 is if you are drafting Sivir, again, recognize the negative points to her card pool. It's full of Rock Bears, it's full of Ancient Hourglasses. It doesn't have the vulnerable cards in it. You're really looking to draft Sivir, who is extremely strong, and you're looking to draft the things like the NASA Strike that I do believe lives in here. But otherwise, you got to remember that there's a lot of garbage in this card pool, and you're really looking for her to be a support champion. And so ideally, you would pick up a Sivir when you, say, took a Draven. And then got Sivir in the second pack, or you took a LeBlanc first and found Sivir second. You're trying to get this quick attack challenger theme going, and she's pretty decent at doing that, but she can have some really low roll moments in her life. But nonetheless, that will do it for us today. I do believe there were some shiny type things out here that we can click on for all you rewards lovers out there. Get the old upgrade on this epic capsule. Oh, Feel the Rush. Haven't got to play that gem in a while. you want to hear me bitch? I don't usually bitch about Feel the Rush because it's like you get Feel the Rush played on you, and you're just kind of like, what am I gonna do? Opponent just put 20 stat units on the board, but oh, okay. But nonetheless, that is gonna do it for us today. And so, hope you learned how to make your attacks, a little bit quicker. You learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.